republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, John.
Mr. Breiler?
Here.
Mrs. Minnie?
Here.
Mr. Platzler?
Here.
Mr. Ethel?
Here.
Mrs. Trumbull? Here.
Next up is our consent agenda. Do we have a motion to accept our consent agenda for $436,522.14?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll support.
We have a motion and support. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I would ask for a roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Minnie?
Yes.
Mr. Platzler?
Yes.
Mr. Breiler?
Abstain.
Mr. Ethel?
Yes.
Mrs. Trumbull? Yes.
Okay. Citizens wishing to address the Board of Trustees. We have a couple here. Mr. Robert Abernathy.
Yeah, 8235 State Road, Burtchville.
Please stand.
Sure. At our last meeting, I know we've tabled the discussion for the trash deal. But I'm a bit concerned about how that was handled at the last meeting. According to the MTA membership information, the Michigan Township Association, they were supposed to be available to all the township residents, a plan and cost estimates available for public viewing from the time that this was published in the newspaper as far as the meeting was concerned. And that plan didn't show up until you read it just prior to the meeting. I came in about a week and a half prior to the meeting and asked for the plan, and I also asked for the cost estimates. The cost estimates were not available either. All that was there were 3 different types of bids. During the meeting, I asked Jody if he had any idea as the treasurer how those costs fell in. In other words, which was cheaper, which was not, how could we analyze those, and he didn't know. So I have a real concern that those 2 things were not followed. Thirdly, there were a lot of people when I came in that were leaving because this venue here was not large enough to hold the number of people that actually wanted to come in and voice their concerns. So if this is going to continue and not be voted down tonight or whatever is going to happen, I'd really like the board to address those issues prior to doing anything. I'm just following what the MTA says, what the law allows, and I didn't find that that was being done here. So
Well, the plan and the estimates were on the, the estimate plans were on the webpage.
Actually, they weren't. What was put on there was not what would be considered a cost estimate. The cost estimates are fully explained in here, and I won't go into them because you have access to them. But those were not really, there was not a plan for somebody to read, and there weren't cost estimates. Even the one gentleman that came here said that that wasn't really a bid. It was just some kind of a proposal, but you couldn't compare anything. You couldn't make a reasonable, it specifically says here in the very beginning that the required steps to establish a special assessment district under PA 188. Number 1 is to prepare plans, and there wasn't a plan to be read. The plan's supposed to show the improvement. That wasn't there. Its location and cost estimates. That wasn't available. Include all reasonable administrative, construction, and legal costs that the township could incur during the special assessment. It just goes on. Typically, the township engineer district or an estimate does an estimate of the plan's construction costs. File the plans and cost estimates with the township clerk and adopt a resolution. There weren't any plans. You just read a piece of paper before the meeting. It was not actually a plan that was available at the township to let the township residents know what you had in mind. All there were 3 things that came from 3 different trash companies.
And those were proposals.
And those were proposals that even our treasurer could not make sense of. Our treasurer didn't know which one of those was number 1, number 2, number 3, where they fell in. And if our treasurer can't provide that, and that's what should be provided at the window, how are we supposed to be able to figure that out?
Well, those,
That's all.
you know, as far as, you know, the proposals were put on the webpage, the bids, the information that we had, that we gathered, and to go ahead and do the resolution. We had the proposals, and then we went ahead and we voted to do the resolutions. We put the cost estimates on the webpage. I don't know what else you wanted us to do.
Well, what I'd like you to do is follow exactly the way that this is stated.
Well, I think we did follow those procedures.
I don't. There was not, you know, with all due respect, there was no plan for people to pick up to see exactly what the township had in mind. If you came into the township office and what you put on the website were nothing but 3 very confusing pieces of paperwork that came from 3 different trash companies. The trash company I used wasn't even in there. I don't know why they weren't in there. They weren't allowed to bid from what I understand. But no one could make any sense of what was the cheapest, which are we getting our most money for? How can you make a vote based on lack of information? No one organized that in any way, shape, or form. You just simply took whatever the companies gave you and posted them on the website. And that's not doing a cost analysis, and that's what the MTA asks for. They ask for a real cost analysis.
After, if this proposal, if this resolution passes, then we will be getting bids and proposals from.
Okay, so what you just told me, if I understand you correctly, you didn't get bids before. You're getting bids.
We got the proposals.
You got a proposal.
Yes, to start the resolution.
Okay, but we have no idea what I'm voting. We had no idea, I had no idea at least, what costs were involved, who was gonna be number 1, number 2, number 3, if we were actually gonna save money or not.
Well,
That's what, you know, that's all I have to say.
okay, thank you. Mr. Wilton, Mike Wilton?
Yes. First, I have some informal petitions here with 130 some signatures of people that may have not been able to attend the meeting tonight. That are against trash resolution.
There you go.
Oh, there's another one too, so, maybe there's 150 there now, people that couldn't make it. But and also, in my informal little survey, I've only talked to 2 people that were for it, that wanted it, you know, for whatever reason. But I also agree with Mr. Abernathy that the information that was presented was not adequate to make a lucid decision on if it was a good idea or not. And part of that was that no administrative costs were brought up at all about how the program's going to be run. Unless someone here at the township is going to do it for free, right? The cost is going to be higher than what was presented in those proposals.
And that was stated, I believe, but the costs weren't, we're really not supposed to be engaging with this, we're supposed to just be accepting your comments, but we didn't have all the total costs yet.
Right, and as Mr. Abernathy alluded to, I think, you know, before you can pass or vote on anything, you have to know what all those costs are going to be.
Absolutely. So those will be coming in this part of the resolution.
Right, so I appreciate that it was tabled to a later date, and I think it should be tabled again until there's adequate information put out where everybody can look at it and make a real decision.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
David Highbauer?
Hi, my name is Dave Highbauer. I live at 3471 Mini Drive in Lakeport, and I'm wearing 2 hats tonight. I'm here representing the client. I'm also, as a homeowner, I guess my first question when I saw this, and unfortunately I wasn't able to make it on December 16th. Is there some issue going on in the township that requires that we forgive or go away from our current hauler that we individually have, and that we have to pick up somebody else who we're told that is going to haul our waste? Is there something going on?
Well, we were asked to look into recycling. We lost our recycling project with Fort Grafton Township. You know,
Isn't but right now, as I understand, the landfill is talking about allowing at least yard waste back in. They're talking about changing the law there. And my concern is, I know what I have as a hauler, I know what time they come, I know what I have, and I'm concerned if all of a sudden somebody else is gonna start picking up the waste, and they're gonna do it at their own time, whatever time they decide to do it, that suddenly I'm stuck with somebody else, and if I don't like the service, that I have nowhere else to go because I'm told you're with Mr. X. And so I guess my only question isn't whether there's recycling or there isn't recycling, it's just that I don't understand why, or if there's a problem. I understand if there's a problem, where there's dogs running loose and people aren't picking up trash and the stuff's blowing around and it's stuck in the trees, I understand. I don't believe that's the case, and I don't really want to have to change who's hauling my stuff, because I don't want to listen to my wife if there's a problem with it. I don't mean that negatively, but I understand the concept. Put it out on the curb and it better not be home when I get home. So that's my first question is, why are we changing?
Well, we were asked to look into, we had a recycling program with Fort Gratiot Township. We had, well, first of all, we had a recycling project with the county. And then we lost that, and we lost the one with Fort Gratiot, and that's the reason why this came up. The people that were doing the recycling, we had as many people in Burtchville Township recycling as they did in Fort Gratiot, in that recycling program, and they come in and they kept asking, what can we do, what can we do? And, we said, well, we can look at maybe getting trash pickup for the whole township,
Putting in my other hat, I'm here representing Jeff's rubbish, and I think Mr. Abernathy,
Yeah.
my client hauls his waste, I believe, and the reason my client didn't submit a bid is that he had no idea this was going on, and but for happenstance of talking to somebody and hearing about it, he never even would have known about it. And one of the problems that my client has, and I understand from what I'm hearing, that 3 companies submitted something, maybe bids, but I don't know, I think now everything's out, everybody knows everybody's numbers, and they really weren't bids, because my client doesn't know, are you bid on between 12 and 1,300 houses. My client did not have a fuel surcharge in there. I don't know what happens with seasonal places. I'm not sure what happens if a seasonal place comes up for the weekend and leaves a bag out there. I think on our street we've got 3 seasonal places, and if they leave a bag out thinking it's getting picked up, I don't want to cheat the rubbish guy and bring it across the street to make sure it does get picked up. But my client has never been told, has never received any specs of how to bid the job, and perhaps that was what Mr. Abernathy was saying, that if everybody is given a set of specs so they know what they're bidding on, then that gives them a better, then you've got apples and apples. In fairness to the township, if the township doesn't know what the cost is yet, then I guess I can understand that, but perhaps, and again, I'm not being critical when I say this, but perhaps the township somewhere should have taken a look at it before asking everybody to lay their cards on the table, and they've all laid the cards on the table, and now they found out they're not playing the same game that they thought, because if people are submitting their numbers and what their costs are, and everybody else knows the numbers and knows the costs, I think you can get an incentive where some big multinational company can come in and squash the little guy like my client, who will look like a pimento after somebody stepped on him.
Mr. Highbar, if I could interrupt you, if we could, we're gonna have this discussion later on, on the resolution, and if we could just leave this go until that time.
Sure.
Actually, no,
Oh,
it is the appropriate place to have,
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
we're not supposed to be engaging now.
Right.
I mean, because it's just public comment time. We'll have our comments and you have your questions during, when old business comes up. He's wearing 2 different hats, so I mean, we'll
Oh,
probably
okay.
just give him 6 minutes instead of 3
All right,
and
okay.
let him
Go
go
ahead.
until he's done.
But I'll go get a few more hats. I'm not too big. No, that's, I mean, my client's biggest concern was, he's never received specs. He has had several conversations. I'm not saying that the information that he received from whoever the township individual was wrong, I'm not saying that. But the problem is, and in fairness to whoever's giving the information, you don't know that everybody got the same information, something may have been left out, and you're trying to put numbers together, and now that everybody knows everybody else's number, it's sort of like going to an excavation site and you know what, how everything's gonna be. And how do you get into that when you're trying to bid a job or just to get your foot in the door? My client didn't even know about it. So I would ask that, I think that before you get into anything, and I'm not sure which hat I'm wearing right now, I think at the very least for the bidder, they need to know exactly what they're bidding on. And for the homeowners, they need to know, exactly what this is going to cost them. I asked my wife, what are we paying? And she gave me the bill. And so I'm curious how this is going to be effective.
I understand. Thank you. Anybody else wish to address the board?
Hey Mike, just so it's open forum, what was the status of Indian Trails Trailer Park? Are they exempted from this proposal?
Yeah.
And why are they exempted from that proposal?
Well, they're their own entity and they do their own,
It's a commercially zoned property, all commercially zoned properties are, commercial multifamily
That's
are all exempted.
Commercially zoned, not residential?
Multifamily.
Well, that's not commercial.
I said commercial multifamily, the first time I said multifamily.
All right, so any multifamily is exempt? So any condominium units are exempt?
Yeah.
Really?
The apartments
We
on
need to have
Kimball Drive, I think we're
people fill
exempt.
out.
Well, see, now that's just not right. They
Well,
generate.
are you talking about a site plan condo? Because that's different.
Yes.
But I mean, if I have one building that's got 8 apartments in it, or 8 condominiums unit, whether apartments or condominiums, if you read the notice, it says it's one residence, one lot with 2 structures on it, or one lot with 2 apartments on it. So it's 2 one-family or 1 2-family.
So the condominium units here in Lakeport are exempt from it. So they don't generate any trash. I don't understand that. They each have an address, each generate trash, but they get to make separate arrangements with a dumpster or whatever at a much cheaper cost. Now, see, that's not a, and that's why I say, we get back to Mr. Abernathy, we don't have enough information here to make a lucid decision.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
I didn't fill out a paper, but how about an
We need to have you
We
incorporated?
need to have them fill out a paper.
Or at least give us your name and address.
Chuck Acker, 6260 Wild Rose Lane, ACKER.
ACKER? Okay.
What about an incorporated subdivision?
They're eligible.
Could they be exempt?
They are not exempt.
What's the difference?
Is that fair?
They're single-family homes.
Single family homes, yeah.
They're single-family homes, I think that's why they're,
That's why they're included.
the way it's written. I don't know, Mr. Tooman.
Condominium complex would be different?
Pardon?
Condominium complex would be different?
You're just saying detached is making the difference. So, yeah, they can be condominium, you could have a condominium subdivision detached, but you're saying if it's a condominium and they're attached, they're exempt.
They were all individual.
If you read the notice, it says all single-family and two-family,
2 one-family.
two one-family units is what it said. In that notice that went in the paper or went in the mailbox on that card. It said all single-family.
And 2 units? you're saying?
And, no, two-family, 1 unit.
2 family, 1 unit.
It's like,
Yep.
Like a duplex?
Like,
Duplexes are exempt?
no,
Two families, 1 unit?
2 families, I mean,
like your place. Isn't your
Okay,
place-
I think,
No, next door. Isn't there one?
mine's detached.
Yeah,
Mine's
there-
on 2
there-
separate
yeah, but
addresses.
there's one on Myrtle that's.
Yes, there is.
That-
So they would each pay?
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
that's what my understanding.
That's the way that,
So anything more than 2 that are attached are exempt.
Well, that's one.
Unless it's a trailer
No,
park.
No, the other difference is, like Milwaukee Creek condominiums.
Right.
That's one property number, I believe. Correct?
I haven't seen the tax roll, yeah.
Well, I think it is. I mean, they all get bills and all that. I think condominiums, it's one big unit.
Right, it's
not-
attached.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've had enough discussion on this.
That's an opinion.
Pam, versus Eyes?
That's your name. 7280 North Road.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned, first of all, my husband used to work for a municipality in Rochester, and everything like this was done with sealed bids. Otherwise, the big companies can come in $10 under the smaller companies, because they know what everybody is charging. But I do agree with Mr. Abernathy, we came in the week before, as soon as we recognized this little postcard for what it was, and nobody had anything available to show us. It kind of is reminiscent of the government saying we're gonna put the 1,200-page bills up on the internet, 4 days before, and then they put it up the day before and rush a vote through. Because nobody really knew to come here. We didn't have any solid information, even when we got here, to know which one you're contemplating. And besides that, it's like, people asked us, well, if we're expected to get 20% of the voters to say something, then I think you guys should get 80% of the voters to say they want it. Kind of, everybody I've talked to feels like we just want government to leave us alone. If we like our trash hauler, we should be able to keep our trash hauler, okay? So that's kind of what we would petition here. We shouldn't have to beg our elected public servants to do what we want them to do. It should be a situation, and it said right in the little postcard, on our own initiative, without people petitioning it, we have decided to do this. Well, I think it's pretty clear, just from people being out here on a cold night a month later, most of the people of this township don't want you to do that. Why would you push it through? Why would you want to do it just because you want to? You know what I mean?
Well,
We
let
want
me
to keep
say
our
this
trash
about
hauler,
that.
whatever.
Yeah, we had 137 people sign petitions that they didn't want it, and 1,500 cards went out, so that tells me that there are people in the township that do want it, or they
That
would
doesn't
have
mean
been.
that at all. I think that is an extrapolation that is not valid. First of all, as Mr. Abernathy mentioned, when we got here, the room was overflowing, people were leaving because they couldn't get in. Tons of people, like we didn't at first know that there was a paper back there, one paper that you had to sign in order to protest against it. They went out without signing it, even though they had expressed their idea not to. Why don't, if you're so determined that this is so good for us, that you know best, and you want us to do this, why don't you put it on the ballot? There's plenty of issues that go on a ballot that don't affect every single citizen, so this one should go there too. Why don't you?
We'll take that under consideration.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Anyone else?
Can I just add one more comment, please? I've been here for 2 years, and at the last meeting, you had commented on the big numbers of people who wanted recycling. And I have only seen 6 people come in here and ask about the recycling program in the last 2 years. I can back that up by filling out a FOIA, but I don't think it's necessary. I think that if you think back, the only people that came in here was counted on less than 2 hands that actually said that they were interested in a recycling program. So last month, you had come up with a big number of people who are actually recycling. And I don't doubt that there were a lot of people recycling when it was convenient. But the actual numbers that you pulled out of the air, I'd like to see on paper, because now you're asking for numbers on paper as well. And for you to say that there were 300 and some odd people interested, or that the whole township really wants this done, I don't believe is a true statement. I think it's very misleading.
Okay, thank you. Here. Yes, ma'am.
Renee from Jeff Rubbish Disposal, this is Jeff. Could you tell me how the other carriers that did get their bid on your ballot or whatever, how they found out to even put their numbers in? because I know we found out just by happenstance, and I called here. And when I put the bid in that you kicked it out because I didn't put it in for recycling, and I didn't put it in for yard waste pickup, because we have quite a lot of people in this area, and it's never been an issue. So I gave you a number that I thought would be good for everybody without recycling. Only to find out a month later that you kicked the bid out, never called my office and told me, and then took 3 other bids, and now have published them again without telling me. And at one point, when I found out that you kicked the bid out, you said, well, just get it back in here by the first week in January, you email it to us, and we'll consider your bid now.
That isn't what I said. Whoever your representative was that called me, I don't know who it was. But when he called me, I said, you know, the resolution has already started, and I said, feel free if you want to send us another estimate. I said, but I don't think we're going to be able to use it because the resolution is already underway, and the prices have already been,
I thought it was shaking.
you know, so that,
We have other contracts. I mean, you send out a bid package, you play fair, you put apples to apples. You know what I mean? I mean, we're bonded, everything else with these other.
well,
You know what my numbers were? 1,200 to 1,350, and some of them are seasonal. That's what I put a bid in. And by the way, it was a good bid too, but you kicked it out.
thank you. Anybody else? Okay, moving on, approval of the agenda. We have a motion to approve our agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
We have a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve our agenda. Is there any questions? Hearing none, I would ask for a roll call vote.
We don't need one on this
Okay.
one, but Mike, did you want to add anything to that agenda? Or are you going to do it under the supervisor's report?
I'll do it on the supervisor.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So we have to
All in
advise-
favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Departmental reports. Fire Department, Mark?
We got the bid package together for that generator, posted on the wall outside. The office has some copies of that next meeting. I'll bring the bids, the sealed bids, and we can open them here to sell that generator we have. Got 20,000, and we got a generator. That's all online. And then in the packet is the approval for the offices, this is the 2014. We should have been in there, so if I could get approval on those for this year, and that's it.
Okay, I guess while we're with you right now, I guess I'll bring this up to approve the officers selected for the Township Fire Department. Would somebody like to make a motion to such?
I'll move.
I'll support.
We have a motion and support.
Judy?
Jody, for our fire department officers. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Okay. Mrs. Tremble, yes. Mr. Platzler?
Yes.
Mr. Byler?
Yes.
Mrs. Minnie?
Yes.
Mr. Apple?
Yes. Building department, Al, do you have anything?
No.
Water department, just to fill you in, we had a water leak over on the corner of Washington and Lake Shore Road a week ago Friday night. It's been all repaired, and people weren't down long. I think maybe 6 hours or so.
6, 8 hours.
Yeah, 6 or 8 hours, so, and that's been repaired.
Mr. Supervisor,
Yes,
is that fire hydrant and the 6600 lock been restored and replaced and is functional and workable?
Yes, I believe they did that last Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I mean, it's there. I'm just-
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It is.
That's the one that the car hit?
Yes.
Jane, our library.
My only building concern is the door to the lobby because of the gap between the doors. We are getting frost inside, wind inside, snow inside. And one of us has to throw our weight against it in the evening when we go out to make sure it locks. I'm a little concerned that if anybody were ever, say, to step outside because they were smoking or something, come back in, they would presume that it was locked, and it isn't. We know.
I've called those guys 3 times.
Yeah, we know, and the delivery drivers know that it doesn't close, but I'm just afraid of the general public. I would, I would also like to say that Dusty got a commendation from one of our patrons on doing an excellent job of keeping our walkways clear and our drive out front clear.
Well,
We've been very pleased with that.
He's been very busy with that, so, thank you. Okay, unfinished business, the township trash removal and recycling. We tabled the resolution that we started, and I don't know what the feeling is of the board, that maybe we ought to table this for another, till next month, and then get the information together that we need to get together.
I'm not ready to make any decision.
I think that's probably a good idea. Finish the resolutions and present and see if the board is interested. Do you want to table it to the meeting? Yeah.
Table it till our next board meeting, February meeting.
February 17th.
Hopefully we can get some answers and stuff.
Let us know.
As many times, or for any one time, as long as you want.
Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion?
Is that gonna be enough time?
Pardon me?
Is that gonna be enough time?
I think so.
Go to what?
Yeah, to do what, Jody?
Well, to get all the issues straightened out.
You think so?
I think so. I think we can resolve the issues in that time.
Is there anything you need me to do in that period as far as going over the bid? Well, I've analyzed the bid proposals financially. I think Marcotte's proposal is a little bit unclear as to whether or not it does have a fuel surcharge. I think it does. I think we should confirm that. I just don't know if you want me to do that. Once you look at that issue financially, I think you can see
I think what we need to do is we need to look at those
How many
issues,
grass clippings are you
lay out
gonna
a
put
plan, and then present it.
Right.
Okay?
Along with,
I think we're bringing about 6 tubs.
we have to decide whether we want to, at least.
Well, that'll be done after the resolution is passed.
Well, I think you actually have to do that as part of the resolution, because in the next resolution, if you're going to adopt it, and frankly, it's up to you to decide if you're going to or not going to, but it does have a financial component to it, so you would need to decide, is it weekly, bi-weekly, is it yard waste in, is yard waste out, because once you make those decisions, financially it all lays out, but you have to decide what services you choose if you want any.
Well, we did this.
Right, and that way, then, the resolution can be passed, because otherwise, you're the one that has to prepare the roll, and unless you know what services and what charges are included, there's no way for you to prepare the roll.
I understand that. Okay, I think that's what we'll do, is we have a motion on the floor. We have a second? Motion, we have a second.
I don't have it, no, we have it.
I'll second.
We need a motion to postpone.
But then you're gonna need to decide on the issues too before that.
Before February 17th.
Right.
Or at the meeting.
Or at the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I
Just
mean,
before, it only has to happen before the resolution's adopted, and it could be minutes before or weeks before. Just has to be before.
Okay.
Somewhere along here, we have to lose our budget.
Huh?
We have to have our budget.
Oh, yeah, that's coming up too.
I thought Mike made the motion and Mrs. Minnie said that she wasn't ready either, which I took as a second, so.
No. Did you make a motion to postpone?
No.
You made a motion.
I did not.
Are you
I
making
will.
it?
I'm just not
made-
sure February 17th.
Jody, did you make the motion?
No,
Oh, okay. Well,
they asked if it was gonna be long enough.
I'll make the motion then.
Okay.
And wait, do we have a second to the motion?
I second.
Excuse me, what was the
We don't
motion?
have
I can't hear.
Postpone the resolution until the next meeting.
Okay, does that mean you're gonna decide then, or you already decided?
We are gonna try to work out, you know, what I hear here tonight is the citizens that are here aren't happy we don't have a plan. We're gonna work on the plan, get the resolution in fact, and get our prices involved, and we'll discuss it at the next meeting.
But you're gonna have to offer a time period for public comment on the plan.
Yeah, not just 2 minutes ahead like you just said.
I don't
If I
think,
could offer one comment, and this is really what Mr. Abernathy raised. If you look at the statute, it goes from everything from roads to sidewalks to buildings to sewers, and most of the things that we talk about are physical structures. If you read the case law in the statute, the plans relate to physical improvements. You're not doing a physical improvement, you're doing a service. So there is no plan. If you read the notice, it says what you're going to do. And now, somebody has said that the proposals weren't on file, that's a separate issue. But as far as plans, you don't need plans and specifications because you're not doing a physical improvement. You have described the service that you want to contract for, or at least you were interested in seeing if you wanted to contract for. So I don't think that there's more information from a plan perspective. I for one have a follow-up question with Marcotte. We may look into things like that. You may do more research on whether you not want weekly or bi-weekly or yard waste or no yard waste. But as far as this time period, there's no reason to do this time period to make a plan because you don't have a plan. You don't need a plan because you're not doing a physical improvement. You've described the service that you're going to do, and that's adequate. Now, I don't want to make it sound like I'm in favor of trash and yard waste or against it. I'm just here to make sure whatever you do is done legally correct so that the township is covered. That's my job. And you don't need a plan to do what you want to do or to not do with that. You have what you need as far as the description of the service. Like I said, we've got a couple questions for a couple individual providers that we need to follow up on. That's proof.
okay.
I think I could agree with what he said.
That
was within our tax base?
Excuse me, but this isn't a public hearing, so,
All right, well,
I understand, but there will be room for public comment at the end of the meeting. So just keep it holding. Tonight, you'll be able to just, have your say at the end of the meeting, okay? Just so hold your thoughts.
Also, if you get all this stuff together and a resolution is passed, then there is another public hearing, correct?
Yes, a limited public hearing.
Limited.
It's limited to the issue of the preparation of the roll. It's very mathematical and technical. It's not, are we going to do it? It's a question of, for example, and this is just an example, don't shoot the messenger. The lowest bidder was Waste Management at $150.48. Okay, so does the roll accurately reflect what you decided with that dollar figure as assessed against this parcel, that parcel, not this parcel because it's commercial and so forth? That's the purpose of the second hearing.
So they don't get to speak now?
They get to speak. It's a public hearing. They can raise those issues. But again, I just want everyone to know, if the next resolution is adopted, the second public hearing is limited to the issue of the appropriateness of the roll.
And everybody that's going to be billed will be on that roll?
Correct.
Has to be laying there available?
Yes.
All 15?
It's got to be on file more than 10 days before the meeting, so that someone could even come in and look and see if it's adequately prepared as it relates to their parcel, or any parcel.
Okay, do we want to vote on this?
Tabling, we have to.
Okay, do we need a roll call vote, please?
You
No.
can, you don't have to.
You don't have to? Okay, I'll just ask for a All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Table,
2 February 17th, the next board meeting.
that's where it is. Okay, the next business on our agenda is Resolution 214-0120, St. Clair County Road Commission Annual Utility Permit.
I'll offer this resolution. It's just our annual permit. In the right of ways, correct?
Correct.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we need a roll call?
I don't think so, but it wouldn't hurt.
Yes, you have to.
Yeah, let's do a roll call.
Yeah, it's a
It's a resolution.
resolution. Okay. Okay, Mr. Bryant,
Yes.
Mrs. Minnie,
Yes.
Mr. Plaster?
Yes.
Mr. Apple?
Yes.
Mrs. Tremblay, yes.
Next on the agenda is Sheldon Beach has requested a special assessment. They're looking in, they've asked the township to finance, they want to re-blacktop their roads. I don't know whether we want to get into the banking business or whether we don't. Besides that, our monies, a lot of our monies are tied up in time certificates and stuff like that, so I don't know that, Jody, you might want to address,
I don't think I could address it until we do the budget. I don't know what costs are gonna be coming up and things like that till we do the
well,
budget.
that's coming up, so.
Can I clarify that a little bit?
And the other thing is we need a concrete estimate on the roads, a current one, because asphalting, if that's what you're doing, is really
Well,
going up.
the roads are gonna be replaced partially, but because they're coming through with a drain.
Yeah, the sewer assessments, or the drain
I
assessments.
hope it's not sewer.
No, it's drain. Drain
That's kind of what we're afraid of.
Yeah.
But while we did, there were a few roads, a small part of the subdivision that wouldn't be handled by this new drain. And so what the subdivision wanted to do was want to get a bid and tag onto the drain road proposal, because you're gonna do an assessment on that and just piggyback that.
The drain?
Huh?
The county drain commission's doing an assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna,
We're
Not the township.
oh, yeah, we wanted the portion that's private, which is a small portion of the roads, to be done at the same time. And we wanted the township to just put it on our tax rolls.
For 1 year, for 5 years, 10 years?
Same as the rest of the way they do the drain.
You know what they're gonna do the drain for?
I think it's 5 years, they haven't told us yet.
Right.
Yeah,
You'd have to have a concrete estimate for us to even consider looking at
Is
it.
that, so before you do it, before you decide, maybe we could have some further discussion on
And it
it?
would be nice to know before we start working on our budget too, and which we are gonna be doing this coming.
We should know within a couple of weeks, I'd say probably a month.
Yeah, who was it?
Millie
Billy
Patterson?
Peterson.
Millie Patterson, yeah, she had contacted us, and I told her that we were gonna have to have some kind of a
We don't
concrete
have-
figure
we don't have
before
anything
we
yet.
even work on our budget, so.
We don't
see
have
what-
it from the drain commission yet either.
Oh, okay.
No, that's it.
If I can make a suggestion, like the same statute that we're using for this does have a procedure for an individual petition of people within a defined area, that they could petition the township board to do
Yeah,
that.
they need to.
And then
petition
the
us.
information that you're looking for would be in that petition that they would create.
Who would we contact to do that? Help us with that?
I think your
Sure,
attorney
you
is.
probably want
Right.
your-
Get another hat?
I've got a few in the car.
Got his card coming this way?
Okay. I just want to make this apparent, we're going to be working on our budget. I think that we need to look at the lineup and start planning our budget meetings for February. We'd like to have our budget all prepared and in shape by the end of February to approve at the March meeting. So So I think we need to be, all department heads and stuff need to be thinking about what we're gonna do with the budget. And also, I just wanted to bring it up that the BSNA, in order to conform with the county and stuff, we're gonna have to upgrade our BSNA systems. And that's looking like right now, the cost estimates that we received right now on it is, be about $20,000, $20,400. Is that right?
Without the building department. And I don't think we have to do that right now unless we want to.
But that's just something to think about, you know, as we're going into our budget, budget sections. And of course, the budget, everybody's got a copy of the budget, so to keep that in mind as far as the supervisor's report goes. Caroline, the clerk's report?
No, really, Mike, we've covered everything.
Jody, treasurer report?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, trustees report. Cindy?
Just that, any chance we set up a couple of meetings right now for the budget while we're all here?
Yeah, I think we need to set some dates for it. Does anybody?
I know.
I got a calendar.
The first week is kind of out, most of it. So we have to go to the second one. First week is really busy.
Second through the 8th is busy.
Yes,
Okay.
you have multiple things on every day.
How about the 11th, which is a Tuesday?
Chapel meeting early.
Chapel meeting at 9:30.
How about?
We can do it at night, we can do it
We could do it
in the
at night.
afternoon.
What's the board prefer? What's the board prefer? Al, you have a preference? Jody?
Well, Al's the only one that's
Well, we do February 10th.
gainfully employed. So
Yeah, we could do it on Monday, February 10th. Have the first budget hearing.
Can you do it the day of?
And then how about the Thursday, the 20th? Does that work for everybody?
So what
Looks like it.
time are you coming up with?
9:30 or 9 or whatever you want.
9 o'clock? Does that work?
I'm
Yep.
okay, I think. How about you, Cindy?
Yep.
February 10th and February 20th? Yeah.
Think we can do it in 2? I think we can do it in 2. Everybody gets their stuff in.
Oh, we should be able to get all this stuff together by then.
Right, everybody works on it ahead of time. Okay.
Okay?
Is that it?
Cindy, do you have anything?
Other than that, that was my
Oh.
main thing was
Al?
set some meetings.
No, I have nothing else. Okay, proceeding, extended public comment. Do we have any extended public comment? Mike, do you
Yeah, I
have?
just wanted to finish my thought. The attorney gave his opinion and why he thought you could implement that. And, you know, I said I could probably agree with him based on that little bit of argument, because if it's something under your current tax base, yeah, you can make capital improvements all you want. I mean, you can fix streets, you don't have to come to everybody to ask permission for that. But now, this is a special assessment taking more money out of our pocket to implement something new. And I think I could find 10 other attorneys that would say, no, I don't think you can do that. So, you know, that's my point there. And to table it for 30 more days, I don't know what that's gonna do. I think it really needs to be pushed back till, I mean, the information, I know you guys aren't trying to keep information away from anybody. So, I mean, you should be as open to it as possible and say, we need more time to digest this. So I think.
Well, I think that's probably, you're probably right.
And I think it would behoove you, in your best interest, and everyone's best interest, that we put this down the road till we really find out what's going on. I mean,
Well, it isn't gonna change the fact that, you know, like
So you're gonna do it anyway?
Mr. Dumas said.
well, no, and I
that's the
think
process,
in
that's
the
the
spirit
process.
of fairness too, that here we have a company back here
that we've just eliminated competition. And the American spirit, the American way is competition. And I hate to eliminate competition. You know, and I don't think they've been given a proper venue to, you know, qualify for it. So I mean, I want everybody, if it's gonna be a bid, I don't want Jeff's, I want L's, I want ABC, I want everybody to do it. Because I don't want a year from now, if you lock into this, a year from now, a guy comes in, or Jeff comes in and say, I could do it for 25% cheaper. Well, we're locked into a 5-year contract with ABC company. You know, I hate to eliminate
Well,
competition.
and I know, and that's why you do a long-term contract too, but,
Well, I know, it's not always cracked up what it's supposed to be. If we wanted to work on long-term contracts, we'd work on the cable franchise. You know, I mean, we
well,
ran a cable franchise.
let's keep it to what we're talking about here.
I was just a little confused as to, have you already decided that you're gonna do this?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, the resolution is,
Whoever's making the comments, no,
You haven't decided?
no.
no, we have not voted on it, no.
So,
Since the resolution
so right
is
now,
up-
you're just, this is a fact
Process.
It's a
finding.
process that we're going through.
How do you arrive at, what process do you use to approve it?
We use the assessment, state guidelines for assessments.
What is that, I mean,
I have a copy of that if you want.
I don't think I could understand if I read it.
80% of people have to want it.
Now, so you ruled out putting it on the ballot, even if it goes on the ballot, the trailer park, everybody could vote on that.
If you could you explain that, the process of the resolution?
The only resolution that's been adopted so far is a resolution that says that we intend to explore. And in order to do that, they decided when, again, whatever, maybe, again, they can decide amongst themselves for no reason at all, or they can receive public input, you can receive a public petition. There's lots of different ways that the initiative can get started. Once the initiative gets started, you request proposals, which they did. They explored that by having the first resolution adopted that says we are interested in exploring that. They put the bids up for public examination, they receive public comment, and then the next resolution that's in front of them says we're creating the district. They haven't adopted that yet. They could adopt it, they could not adopt it, they could put it on the ballot, they could table it till the summer.
So your options.
The myriad of options are still
open
open.
until the next meeting that you have, is that correct?
Correct. Well, any time, until that resolution is
Or gets
adopted or
postponed.
rejected. Yes. Does that answer the question that you wanted, Mike?
Yes, I think so.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mike, this is Norm Forstner, 3775 Beach Street. And I'd just like to remind the board that the last board that went against the people's wishes got thrown out, the whole board. Please, just keep that in mind.
That is Norm, run next time.
Thank you for that thought.
Yeah.
A lot of people agree with me.
Ready for a job, Norm?
Dr. Vitalis?
There was the numbers that you're supposed to figure out according to the properties, the ones who were against and who were for it, and I thought that was going to be brought up at this meeting. Maybe if it was over 20%, then it would go through. And if it
I do have those figures for you.
I was just kind of curious if
Of the land use?
I mean, how did the vote end up, or how did the numbers
Number of
fall out?
protesters, land volume by land volume.
Right, I know. I just wondered. Nobody's
It's,
mentioned the number, final number.
8.35%
So no.
protesters.
Yeah, of the land volume.
Of those who knew about it. Yeah, those who knew about it, and a lot of people.
That was from the meeting?
That was the meeting.
That was from the
No, that
list.
was from all of the protesters that were,
Yeah, that was
Al,
from
just a
the
second.
list of the meeting, of the people that were here and signed on the list, plus anybody that turned in
Before the
before the meeting.
mail or brought into the
And we
office.
had quite a few.
Okay, and can we add those petitions I added tonight onto that?
Those
It's too late.
petitions don't
They don't count that.
We won't.
Anything after that,
Midnight that day does not count.
after that, it's.
There was 166, plus or minus on those.
I know, but the petition has no bearing on the resolution.
Could the board decide to have another mailing?
But the board will have another mailing for the last.
No, a mailing like we already had. Yeah, obviously, there was a lot of, it didn't go real smooth with the mailing with the postcards and the Christmas, and it was nothing we did, it just, that's the way it happened. But if we decided to have another mailing, is that,
Would you address that?
If the board chooses to, it could hold another public hearing, which would be a proceeding on mailing, that would allow you to, you know, they would, anyone who was opposed to have another shot of hitting that 20% mark. I don't think it matters because of what the numbers were, but it would also allow Jeff's bid to come in if we were to have another public hearing, because one of the reasons that we can't consider that one now is because it wasn't on file 10 days beforehand. I think it's a moot point, because from what I saw, they were 9% higher than the next highest bidder. But again, if a majority of you wants to call for a new public hearing, we can do so.
The board.
Yeah,
Yes.
majority of the board, yes, when I say majority. Yeah. But to have a public hearing, you would have to remail.
To do that, we should have a venue that's large enough.
We have to do the whole, we have to do
You
the
have to
whole
public hearing.
Yeah.
I'd like to lobby the board to do that if I could.
Well, Al, what's your suggestion, or Jody, on mailing? I mean, you always run into that issue a little bit with the, post office.
well, I understand that, but then, you know, we're always looking to save money, so we were saving money by doing postcards. And if we do another mailing, we send it first class.
This was sent first
Those were
class.
sent.
But they were just little paper thin, get stuck in the rest of the trash we get. Just a suggestion.
Well, I think we need to wait and discuss this, discuss this further. We already have a motion on the floor to postpone it till the next meeting, and this would be a discussion for the next meeting.
Did I hear that the mathematical determination is based on land value?
Pardon me, yes.
Okay, so so if somebody has a piece of property 5 times as big as mine, they basically get 5 more votes than I do?
I think that's how it's.
Is the bill for the trash pickup going to be per household or per land value?
Per household.
So I can get outvoted because some guy has a bigger lot, but I pay the same amount? I'm just trying to sort this
That's what
out.
the statute says,
That's
Dan.
how the
sorry?
law
That's what the
reads.
statute says.
No, I'm just trying to, I don't want to say I don't care what the
I'd love
statute
to
says.
question
I
our
guess the real
senators on
question
their
is,
logic sometimes.
why, I guess I'll go back to my first question. I'm putting on my personal hat now. Why am I told not to go with the guy I have when I see Waste Management coming in at a ridiculously low number, which is telling me one of two things. Drive everybody out so they can pick up the other stuff later when they boost the price. And if I'm going to get outvoted because somebody else has a lot that's 20 times as big as mine, God bless them, pay the taxes, happy to have at it, then presumably they're getting 20 times as much trash, they're getting 20 times as much lawn stuff, and I shouldn't have to be paying the same amount as they do. I mean, that's the concern I have, is where suddenly, obviously, if there's a big problem in the township, where trash is being dumped all over the place, it's being thrown in the lake, and all that, I understand that.